Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Sports Medicine, offering services for sports injury and recovery, with physicians and athletic trainers who provide treatment for fractures, dislocations, sprains, strains, and other sports-related issues. More information on services at stalphonsus.org.
The Boise State Public Radio app. News, music, and more.
Idaho Matters.
Morning Edition.
All things considered.
The Connector.
And more.
And more.
You can take us wherever you go and stay connected. Without it, you're missing out. Download it free.
You can also communicate using the Talk to Us tab.
The Boise State Public Radio app.
It's the Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Troy Oppie in for George Prentice. Here are today's headlines for Thursday, April 2nd. At least 9 people protesting inside the State House office of Governor Brad Little were arrested yesterday. Lawmakers, meanwhile, finalized budget cuts for the state's online learning academy. They've also urged citizens to just say no to a marijuana ballot initiative. But we'll start this morning with more on the mess during Wednesday's afternoon commute. Meridian police say the shutdown of Interstate 84 came after officers responded to a report of shots fired on Overland Road west of Meridian Road. A suspect vehicle from there led officers on about a 2-mile chase to a road near the 10-mile interchange. Police in a news release say 37-year-old John Handegard of Cunit had fired his gun in a parking lot on Overland Road and after the chase refused to surrender. The interstates, 10-mile interchange, and nearby roads were shut down as a safety precaution, police say. Handegard eventually surrendered without further incident. After about an hour, he was taken into custody and charged with multiple misdemeanor drug-related and eluding charges. At least 9 people protesting inside the State House office of Governor Brad Little were arrested and charged with misdemeanor trespassing Wednesday. The group, in a fundraising post to help with legal costs, say they were there to share, quote, the real costs of House Bill 752, unquote. That bill blocks trans people from any public bathroom or changing area that's not aligned with their sex at birth. State police in a press release say the 9 they arrested refused orders to leave the building, quote, after business hours. But the state Senate was in chambers at the time of the arrests as lawmakers were working late into the evening Wednesday. State police announced the arrests as happening at, quote, approximately 5:30 p.m. But booking data from the Ada County Sheriff's Office shows 10 individuals booked on misdemeanor trespassing charges starting at 5:10 p.m. A Sheriff's Office spokesperson confirmed that the booking times listed are when suspects are processed at the jail. An ISP spokesperson was unable to get additional information about the specific timing of the arrests. A 10th trespassing arrest was made by Boise police, but a department spokesperson did not respond by deadline to a request for confirmation on whether that arrest was connected to the 9 others.
All those in favor of adjourning say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Let's do some more bills. Let's go back to the 7th.
Lawmakers, as I mentioned, were working late into the evening on Wednesday, trying to get across the finish line for the session and complete their legislative business. You heard House Speaker Mike Moyle there. There is a good chance that both chambers will be done with their legislative work by the end of today, and they may also pause for a few days before officially adjourning the session sine die to wait out any potential vetoes or other action by the governor. In the state Senate yesterday, a bill barring taxpayer money from supporting teachers' union activities advanced. James Dawson has the latest.
The proposal was thought to be dead for the year when a Senate committee declined to give it a hearing. But supporters hijacked a different bill on Monday and replaced it with something very similar to the version sitting in a desk drawer to leapfrog the committee. Public school districts would no longer collect union dues, and teachers couldn't use paid leave to lobby or testify on legislative issues under the bill. Democratic Senator Janie Ward Engelking says this bill unfairly punishes teachers in an anti-union state. That's despite educators giving their lives to protect students across the country in recent years.
Teachers have stood in the line of fire to shield your children. And they would do it in a heartbeat because those kids in that classroom, they're ours. They're ours too.
Republican Senator Josh Cole rejected that last statement.
Children do not belong to teachers or a teachers' union at any part of the day.
The bill still needs final approval from the House before it could go to the governor's desk. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Also at the State House, Idaho's digital learning platform is poised to get its budget cut in half after state senators easily signed off on the proposal. The Idaho Digital Learning Academy hosts remedial and advanced classes online that rural students often use to broaden their education. But Senate Republican leader Lori Dinn Hartog says IDLA's class offerings have ballooned past original mandate.
When IDLA was first established, it was never envisioned for elementary students. This piece of policy takes care of that.
The bill would bar students below sixth grade from enrolling in classes from IDLA, along with setting new minimum fees. Democratic Senator Janie Ward Engelking says she worries the more than $13 million in cuts could jeopardize a kid graduating on time.
I hope that we're not cutting so severely that we make it impossible for some of our students to get through high school with all the classes they need.
House lawmakers already approved the bill. It now goes to Governor Brad Little's desk for consideration. Lawmakers have also this week advanced a formal resolution urging Idaho citizens to just say no to a proposed ballot initiative which would, if it qualifies for the ballot and is approved by voters, legalize medicinal use of marijuana in Idaho. Advocates continue to gather signatures toward the goal of reaching the ballot. Legislators mostly view the effort as a slippery slope to the visible societal problems of larger cities like Portland or Seattle, places where marijuana use is fully legal.
We don't talk about West Virginia or Florida or Arkansas or Alaska or South Dakota or North Dakota or Utah when we're discussing the pros and cons of legalization or decriminalization.
That's Democrat Representative Monica Church listing other places where pot use is legal. She called that kind of cherry-picking disingenuous to the conversation, adding that many states Idaho looks to emulate are among the 41 already legalizing marijuana use in some form. Bill sponsor, Republican Representative Jason Monks, says the issue is being pushed by out-of-state lobbyists and vendors. The House State Affairs Committee advanced the resolution urging Idahoans to keep the ballot measure off the ballot to the full House with a do pass recommendation. It would not have the force of law, but would be an official recommendation from the legislature. It has already passed the Senate. Meanwhile, a new study indicates cannabis use can negatively impact many kinds of memories and even create false ones. New findings from Washington State University show cannabis can impair different kinds of recall, from remembering lists of words and keeping track of conversations to remembering the order of events and where information came from. Test subjects were given either a placebo or medium to large dose of cannabis vape. But while the cannabis groups had lower scores in nearly every test, study co-author Carrie Cutler says the gap wasn't huge.
It's degrading memory. It's having detrimental impacts. Even the word impairment might be a little bit strong in this case, honestly.
One of the biggest impacts cannabis use had was on creating false memories. When asked to recall a specific list of words, the cannabis groups often remembered words that hadn't been on the list. That study was published in the journal Psychopharmacology. Political party politics could soon come to Ada County Highway District elections. James Dawson, doing double duty for us this morning, reports that a bill is on its way to the governor's desk that would require candidates to declare their political affiliation.
In addition to introducing partisan races to ACHD elections, voters throughout Ada County would get to elect each commissioner. Right now, commissioners run in individual districts. House Democratic leader Alana Rubel says opening up elections to be countywide makes no sense, since candidates would still have to live in a particular district.
Under the system that's being proposed in this bill, you could get elected to represent your district without getting a single vote from your district.
Several top Republicans in the legislature have been running similar bills for years, saying ACHD isn't acting in the best interest of Idahoans. Here's Republican Representative Josh Tanner, who blasted the agency for building bike paths and sidewalks instead of new traffic lanes.
They don't want to try to deal with Idaho's values. They don't want to try to make the roads actually meet Idaho's standards. They want to actually shrink everything down.
The proposal cleared the House and Senate within hours of each other Wednesday. Governor Brad Little will weigh in on the bill next. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
A new variant of the COVID-19 virus may be better at evading antibody protections from previous illness or vaccine compared to existing variants. That advisory comes from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as the variant, dubbed cicada, is growing internationally and now has been found in half of U.S. states, including in Idaho.
fortunately, it's not causing more severe disease.
That's Dr. David Pate, the former CEO of St. Luke's Health System and a weekly guest discussing medical issues on Idaho Matters. He says the new variant has about 70 mutations compared to its parent virus, and that shows the virus still has a lot of potential evolution, which could change how it affects humans. Pate says staying up to date on vaccine boosters is important.
Those that are at risk and want to reduce that risk, the best advice is to get every updated COVID vaccine.
Cicada's official variant name is BA3.2. It was first identified in South Africa in November 2024, according to the CDC, and first confirmed in the U.S. in June last year. Boise Fire wants you to know that plumes of smoke you might see this week at the Boise Airport is just training exercises. The department's Aircraft Rescue Firefighting, ARF, teams are conducting federally mandated live fire training near the airport through this Saturday. And that's your connector on this Thursday morning jam-packed edition, as there is a lot of news happening, especially at the State House right now. To stay up to date with all of it, you can always catch our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. Make sure you're signed up for our legislative newsletter. That comes out once a week, but it's a detailed look at what's been going on in the State House from our James Dawson. And of course, you can follow us on social media. Search Boise State Public Radio on Facebook and Instagram and Nextdoor, too. Have a great day.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.